The rain poured down on a busy street in the heart of the city. Daniel stood there, soaked to the skin, watching the lights flicker in the windows above him. He felt the weight of his backpack press against him, the damp fabric a reminder of his winding journey to this moment. He remembered her words, clear as a bell in the noise of the city. "You'll know when the time is right." He had heard that voice so many times before, smooth and assuring. It was in those moments he couldn't help but feel a mix of nerves and excitement. As he leaned against the cold brick wall of the hotel, anticipation curled in his stomach. The building loomed tall and elegant, its golden letters shining brightly against the dark rain-washed backdrop. It felt like a world apart from the rough street he stood on. Inside, people laughed, mingled, and lived a different life. For Daniel, however, that buzz was just out of reach. Minutes ticked by. He glanced down at his watch and then back up at the entrance. The towering door swung open and a well-dressed couple stepped outside. They laughed together, not even noticing him as they hurried away. Daniel wondered how it felt to be so carefree, wrapped in love and laughter. His heart sank as he thought of Anna, his best friend, and the secret they had been keeping. What if this all fell apart in the end? He pushed the thought away, shaking his head as the rain dripped down his neck. A moment later, the grand doors opened again. A tall, sharply dressed man stepped out, dressed like he belonged in a magazine ad. The concierge, he was all polished smiles and confidence, but instead of moving towards Daniel, he looked over his shoulder like he was waiting for someone special to emerge. A voice called out, slicing through the rain like a knife. He turned, unable to suppress the grin spreading across his face. Anna rushed down the stairs, her hair hugging her face, droplets clinging to her cheeks. She asked, her voice laced with urgency. "I did," he replied, stepping forward to catch her before she slipped on the slick pavement. Her eyes sparkled as she caught her breath. "I'm so glad." "Never," he promised, trying to ease the worry etched in her brow. They both knew how important this meeting was, the reason the waiting was even necessary. He had heard the whispers, the doubt in the air, but Anna was all that felt right in the midst of chaos. Then she turned suddenly serious, glancing back at the concierge with a mix of uncertainty. "Just remember what we talked about," she said, her voice dropping. "Stay calm." Daniel nodded. Her eyes softened, and they shared a look that ran deeper than words. It was more than just trust, it was a promise. A promise forged in years of friendship, laughter, and late-night secrets. Now it felt heavier, like the weight of what they were about to do loomed larger than the very hotel behind them. Anna took a deep breath and stepped closer to the concierge, her posture shifting from nervous to determined in an instant. "Thank you for waiting." The concierge smiled, a rarely seen warmth breaking through his professional facade. "Right this way," he said, leading them through the golden doors. Daniel followed closely behind Anna, the warmth of the hotel enveloping him, pushing away the rain-soaked chill lingering on his skin. Inside, the sound of soft music mingled with laughter. The marble floors gleamed under the soft light, reflecting the opulence of plush chairs and polished tables. It felt like stepping into a dream, one that felt almost unattainable. Daniel asked, his voice barely audible over the buzz around them. "Not really," Anna confessed, her confidence dimming slightly. "But I trust we'll figure it out." They made their way to a small private room tucked away in the corner, away from prying eyes. Anna's hand brushed against the door as she paused to turn back to Daniel, her expression turning serious again. He nodded again, the weight of it settling in his chest. They had decided to take a leap, to follow a shared dream that felt impossibly far away. The chance was slim, but the possibility was enough to keep them moving forward. The concierge gestured for them to sit, then stepped out, leaving the duo alone in the intimate room. The walls were lined with soft artwork, and a small table in the center held empty glasses and a fresh vase of flowers. Anna was already lost in thought, biting her lip as she glanced around the room. "This is it," she whispered, half in awe, half in fear. Daniel reached out to take her hand across the table, trying to steady them both. "We can do this," he said, his voice firm. Just then the door swung open and a well-dressed woman stepped inside, her gaze scanning the room. She had an air of confidence, a kind of energy that instantly changed the atmosphere. "Anna," she said, her voice smooth and welcoming. Daniel felt Anna's hand tighten in his. There was something about this woman that held power, something that made him feel small in her presence. "Thank you for coming," Anna replied, her voice steadying itself as she squared her shoulders. The woman smiled, a glint of understanding in her eyes. "I know this must feel daunting, but rest assured you're in good hands." As they sat down and the conversation started to flow, Daniel couldn't shake that feeling in his gut. He watched Anna, how she lit up as she spoke about their ideas, their hopes and dreams. This woman was a seasoned professional, a gatekeeper to a future they had always wished for. Daniel's focus wavered, his thoughts wandering as he tried to absorb the gravity of this moment. This was it, the chance they had dreamt about. Real opportunities were within reach, but so were the risks. The stakes felt high. Minutes passed slowly, wrapped in the intensity of the conversation, and Daniel found himself wishing he could slide into the walls unseen. Anna thrived under the pressure, her passion spilling out in every word she spoke. The woman leaned in closer, her interest piqued, mirroring Anna's excitement. "Tell me more," she urged, and the conversation flowed like wine from a bottle. Daniel sat back, absorbing the emotions swirling around them: excitement, hope, and that underlying tension that begged for resolution. But then a shadow crossed Anna's face for a brief moment, a flicker that sent alarm bells ringing in Daniel's mind. Was this too much for her? Would she falter? His heart raced as he leaned forward, capturing her gaze, silently urging her on. Their eyes locked for a brief second, and in that moment a mix of fear and determination danced. But then she straightened, her confidence returning as she pushed through the moment of doubt. After what felt like hours, the meeting reached its crescendo, each of them leaning in, the energy tangible. The woman's eyes twinkled with interest as she posed the final question. What makes you different? Daniel held his breath as Anna took a moment, weighing her words carefully. He could see the cogs turning in her mind. This was the moment that could shift everything they'd worked for. We stand for authenticity, she said, her voice steady. In a city full of surface, we want to bring depth. Daniel felt a swell of pride wash over him. For all their struggles, for all the waiting, this was their truth, shining brightly now in front of them. The woman leaned back, considering Anna's words. The room was silent, tension steeping in the air like brewing tea. Every second felt like a lifetime. Finally, she nodded slowly. I like that. A wave of relief washed over Daniel, and he felt Anna's hand in his, squeezing it tightly. They had done it. Against the odds, they had forged a connection, had woven their dreams into words that resonated. Let's take the next steps, the woman smiled, her confidence rejuvenating their spirits. Anna beamed, and in that moment the world outside faded away. Daniel couldn't help but grin, imagining the possibilities stretching before them. But just then a flicker of uncertainty crossed Anna's face again. What if it wasn't real? What if this was just a fleeting moment in their lives, a dream that could shatter? He understood that feeling all too well. He leaned in closer, closer than before. We've got this, he whispered, the weight of their promise hanging in the air. Outside, the rain began to ease, the clouds parting ever so slightly to let a sliver of light through. It flickered across the polished floors, lighting up the dreams that danced within those walls. In that room, where so much had felt out of reach moments before, a bond was sealed. Their story, tied to their hopes, brewed like the clouds outside, heavy yet vibrant, waiting to burst forth. And then, in silence, they felt the thrill of the unknown. Their moment was real, and now they were ready to step into it together. In the city full of dreams, Daniel and Anna had found a beginning, an extraordinary tale waiting to unfold. The bell above the hotel door chimed as he stepped inside, eyes widening at the extravagance surrounding him. It felt like he had walked into a different world, a glimmering landscape filled with polished marble and plush furniture. But it wasn't the decor that caught his breath, it was the tension swirling in the air like electricity. Wait here, please, she whispered, her voice smooth yet urgent. Anna turned to him, her hazel eyes glowing with unspoken determination. With that, she disappeared behind the lavish concierge desk, leaving Daniel suspended in uncertainty. He stood there, watching her small frame dart between overstuffed armchairs and busy hotel guests, the noise of laughter and clinking glasses fading into background whispers. Anxiety gnawed at his insides. Why did she want him out here all alone? What was going on inside that corner office she was heading toward? 5 minutes passed, stretching like taffy in his mind. Daniel leaned against a marble pillar, the coldness seeping into him, contrasting with the warmth of the lobby. He could hear snippets of conversation drifting from behind the desk, bright laughter, high-pitched excitement, and a voice that sounded important, confident. With every tick of the ornate clock hanging on the wall, doubts crept in. Was he enough for this? Did Anna think she could handle this without him? It was supposed to be a joint effort, a leap they would take together. But perhaps this meeting, as it unfolded, required a different kind of strength, her strength. At that moment, a tall man with salt and pepper hair stepped into view. The concierge, impeccably dressed with a tailored suit that screamed authority. He gestured towards Anna, and for a fleeting second, Daniel felt his heart drop. Had she somehow failed? Was he too far removed from a world he didn't belong to? Just as self-doubt threatened to envelop him, Anna caught his eye. She smiled, bright, infectious. In that moment, she radiated confidence. She gestured for him to come closer. She called, and he felt the barriers begin to dissolve. Relief surged through him as he crossed the plush carpet, the weight on his shoulders lifting, if just slightly. He asked, trying to mask the voice of panic creeping into his tone. The concierge offered a reassuring smile, but there was something serious reflected in his eyes. Discussing your proposal, he said, his voice even and measured, as if he had delivered this line countless times before. Anna looked ready to burst, excitement sparkling in her eyes. It's going to be a partnership, Daniel. The concierge nodded. Precisely. That one word hung in the air like a heavy fog. Daniel gulped, the weight of it settling in, drowning the hope that had just sparked in his chest. The ambition they shared shimmered brightly, but the room felt heavy with possibilities slipping away. Before he could think twice, Anna spoke up, her voice steady, unwavering. I know what we're capable of. We can make this work. Daniel marveled at her fire, her conviction, and for a moment he stood in awe of her. It reminded him of their late-night talks when dreams poured out like rain and the world felt limitless. Would that same light shine through today? The concierge's expression shifted slightly. I appreciate the enthusiasm, but we have to ensure your vision aligns with market expectations. Silence fell over them, thick with tension. It was a dance of hopes and fears. Would the past months of sleepless nights and brainstorming sessions mean anything? Daniel took a deep breath, willing his heart to quiet. What they want is something genuine, he said, tapping into the sensation that had been alive within both of them from the start. And there it was, the spark ignited. Anna caught his gaze, and together they stood tall. The concierge eyed them, a flicker of interest crossing his face. "So show me what's real," he replied. And just like that, the atmosphere shifted. The challenge, the opportunity to prove themselves hung in the air, electric and charged. "I believe we can create," Anna said. As they spoke, each word became a stepping stone, breathing life into their vision. They began weaving together their ideas, sharing anecdotes of experiences that spoke to the city's heartbeat, its vibrant culture, untold stories, hidden gems. Daniel felt himself grow bolder, his excitement growing with each passing moment. Memories flowed back to him, moments when they had walked down the bustling streets, dreaming of the future, imagining a space where people could connect, learn, and grow. But every moment of laughter had its shadow, the fear of failure lurking in the corners. Daniel's mind wandered briefly to how badly he wanted this. What if, despite their efforts, it all fell apart? Anna exclaimed, glancing at him. The concierge was nodding, his demeanor shifting as they built momentum. Daniel felt the fire of possibility swirling between them, igniting something deep within. "We know the city," he said. "We understand the people, their struggles and triumphs." The concierge leaned back, crossing his arms, considering. The room felt charged with possibilities, a fragile line stretched between dreams and reality. "Tell me about your vision," he prompted, holding their gaze, his interest piqued. For a quick second, a wave of doubt swept over Daniel. Was he ready? But the spark in Anna's eyes urged him on. Daniel could hear the strength in her words, feel the power of their shared dream solidifying. "It'll be a place unlike any other." The concierge's eyebrows raised, the tension shifting, evolving into curiosity. Daniel continued, refusing to back down. With each word they shared, the weight of self-doubt began to lift. Daniel could see the concierge waver, his expression softening. This was their moment, and they weren't about to let it slip away. They poured their vision into the room, recounting not only their plans but the connection that had driven them here. A sense of belonging, of purpose, surged through Daniel. The yearning to create something meaningful bounded between them. Finally, after what felt like a whirlwind of emotions, the concierge nodded. "All right." "I'm intrigued," he said, a hint of a smile pressed on his lips. "You've shown me something genuine today." And with that, the dam broke. Anxiety melted, replaced with a wave of relief and exhilaration. "We'll send over the details," the concierge continued. "Set up a follow-up meeting." Hope danced in their chests, the promise of what lay ahead drawing them closer. Daniel gazed at Anna, lost for words. A moment that began as nerve-wracking uncertainty transformed into a dream on the brink of realization. They left the hotel together, walking into the calming warmth of the late afternoon sun. The air felt fresh, charged with possibility. "We did it," Anna said, her voice steady, a mix of disbelief and wonder. Daniel replied, his excitement bubbling over. Their eyes met, and for an instant the world around them faded. The fears that once loomed large were little more than shadows. They had spoken their truth, and it resonated, a connection igniting between them and with the world outside. As they walked, the city hummed with life around them, people bustling by, laughter spilling from nearby cafes. It all felt alive, reflective of the stories they wanted to weave into the fabric of the community they envisioned. Anna asked, a soft smile dancing on her lips. Daniel nodded, his heart soaring. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a golden hue across their path as they moved forward together. All the doubts, the waiting, and the uncertainty faded into the backdrop of their shared journey. They had stepped through the threshold of possibility, crafting their story under the vibrant sky of the city that had always felt like home. With that, they took another step forward. Each heartbeat, a promise of what lay ahead, pulsated with creativity, purpose, and unyielding hope. The adventure they had dreamt of was finally within reach, and they were ready to embrace it with open arms. The marble floors glistened under the soft lighting of the grand hotel lobby, and the scent of fresh coffee wafted through the air. Daniel felt like he had stepped into a dream. His heart raced as Anna turned to him, urgency in her eyes. She said, her voice low but firm. Before he could respond, she disappeared into the plush, carpeted hallway behind the concierge desk, leaving him planted in a world of opulence. He shifted from one foot to the other, feeling small beneath the towering chandeliers that sparkled like stars above. As he waited, his mind raced. Was this really happening? He glanced around, watching the guests bustle in and out, couples laughing, business people in suits clutching briefcases, and a family enjoying their vacation, unaware of the storm brewing in his own heart. The vibrant life around him felt both enticing and alien. After what seemed like hours, the air crackled with tension. Each tick of the ornate clock on the wall echoed in his ears, reminding him of his purpose here. They had worked hard for this moment, pouring their dreams into late-night conversations and endless brainstorming. Had it really led to this point? His thoughts were interrupted as the tall, impeccably dressed concierge stepped forward, his expression unreadable. Up close, Daniel could see sharp lines etched around his eyes and the weight of countless responsibilities resting on his sturdy shoulders. The concierge asked, his voice smooth like silk. Yeah, I'm waiting for Anna," Daniel replied, wrestling with his nerves. The concierge nodded and turned his gaze back toward the hallway, studying it as if he expected Anna to come rushing through any second. Daniel tried to find the courage in his voice. There was a tightening in his chest. The concierge regarded him with a slight, assessing smile. "She's fine." The minutes crawled by. Anxiety gnawed at Daniel's insides, and he replayed their grand plans over and over in his mind. What if it didn't go well? What if Anna was only being hopeful, trying to elevate his dreams while they both stood on shaky ground? He clenched his fists, willing himself to be patient. But doubt crept in like dark clouds gathering on the horizon. Then, just as he felt his resolve falter, the sound of a soft laugh broke the silence. It floated through the air, light and warm, drawing his attention. It was Anna's laugh, mingling with the concierge's deeper voice. The two emerged from the hallway, Anna's expression radiant, her cheeks flushed with excitement. She called, waving him over. The warm light around her seemed to amplify, and for a moment all of his worries melted away. He asked, stepping forward, ready to pull her close, feeling the electric connection between them. The concierge flashed a smile that was both welcoming and solid, as if to acknowledge the gravity of the moment. "Welcome, Daniel," he said, motions graceful. Daniel's heart thudded in his chest as he took a deep breath. This was it, the moment they had both been waiting for. All those late nights were finally culminating here, under the grand chandeliers of this monumental setup. "Yes," Anna chimed in, her voice carrying the passion they had worked so hard to nurture. The concierge nodded, eagerness replaced by professional curiosity. He motioned for them to sit at a small table in a quiet corner, an oasis of calm amidst the lively lobby. He suggested, adding a layer of intrigue to his words. Daniel collected his thoughts while Anna began to speak, her face lighting up with her familiar fire. She described their vision, a community-driven art space embracing creativity, inclusivity, and connection. She painted vivid pictures with her words, outlining workshops, art exhibits, and collaborative events that could engage the entire city. As she spoke, Daniel watched her shine. Her passion radiated off her, and he felt his confidence swell alongside hers, reminding him why they were here in the first place. The city needs a place where people can come together, explore their creativity, and share experiences that matter, Anna concluded, her voice unwavering. The concierge leaned back, his expression thoughtful. "That's an interesting approach," he said, tapping a finger lightly on the table. "But why do you think it'll resonate?" Daniel felt a rush of adrenaline as he jumped into the conversation. "We understand the people," he said, meeting the concierge's gaze. "We know their stories, what drives them, what moves them. We grew up in this city." The concierge nodded slowly, almost knowingly, as if he could feel the weight of Daniel's words. They had grown up in a neighborhood where art was a lifeline, where creativity had turned the mundane into magic. "We want to capture that essence," he continued. "Exactly," Anna chimed in. "This isn't just a business, it's a calling." For a moment, silence stretched between them, a charged silence heavy with the weight of possibility. The concierge's brow furrowed slightly, and Daniel felt the tension rise. Had they lost him? Questions loomed like storm clouds, threatening to rain on their parade. "Those are noble aspirations," he finally said, breaking the stillness. "But you must understand, reality can be harsh. You're asking for support, investment." Daniel's heart sank at the thought. They had dreamed of connection, creativity, and inclusivity, but perhaps they needed to tighten their vision to fit the expectations. Anna responded, her voice saucing the air with determination. "We can have structured programs while maintaining our mission." The concierge raised an eyebrow, intrigued by her unwavering spirit. Daniel fumbled for the right words. They both had their backgrounds in art and community work, but the weight of the lobby felt heavier than it had moments ago. "Let's bring it back to the heart of what you want to accomplish," said the concierge, resting his hands on the table. "Your passion is evident, but can you show me the numbers?" The query hung in the air like a challenge. Daniel felt an arctic chill creep through him. He shared a quick glance with Anna, who seemed unfazed. She was ready to fight for their dream. "Yes," he finally replied, pulling a few pages from his folder. "We have projections based on past community events and art programs." As he spread the papers across the table, he spoke with conviction. He explained how they would leverage local artists, market their space effectively, and create opportunities that lined up with community needs. Anna chimed in, backing his claims and detailing how they would foster relationships with local businesses, ensuring a sustainable ecosystem. She wove real-world examples into the fabric of their vision, illustrating the emotional impact that such a space could create. The concierge's eyes darted over the numbers, absorbing their research and projections. There was a flicker of interest. Daniel could feel it. "A lot," the concierge admitted, tapping a finger thoughtfully against his chin. "But it doesn't erase the risk." Anna nodded, unwavering. "We know there will be challenges, but challenges can be turned into opportunities." The concierge leaned forward, genuinely intrigued. Tell me more about those challenges. What began as a daunting conversation evolved into an engaging dialogue. They dove deep into the kinds of obstacles they might face, the financial hurdles, operational hiccups, building a community presence, and the ever-present fear of failure. Daniel found himself entranced by Anna's unwavering optimism as she detailed how they would tackle each issue one step at a time. Yes, there will be tough days, she stated, her voice filled with conviction. But we're prepared to fight for this vision. We've poured our hearts into it, and we believe in its power. Gradually, the concierge's demeanor shifted again, his expression softening, the initial caution giving way to curiosity. You two are dedicated, that part is clear, he said, but I need to know you have a backup plan. Daniel's heart raced as he thought. They had a lot of faith in their plans, but a contingency. He glanced at Anna, her brows furrowing slightly. In every creative venture Anna started, having multiple phases is important. Daniel added, feeling the energy between them bounce. The concierge regarded them carefully, the tension ebbing away into an unspoken understanding. All right, I like your approach. Absolutely, Anna replied, her voice steady. They spoke well into the afternoon, the jovial buzz of the lobby gradually becoming a soothing backdrop to their conversation. Daniel could feel the prospect of that dream becoming real. Finally, after what felt like hours, the concierge leaned back, contemplating. I must say, the passion you have is infectious. Daniel breathed a sigh of relief, exhilaration filtering through his veins. They had managed to make an impression, to offer something real. The challenge was still ahead, but they had taken the first crucial step. As they stood to leave, Anna turned to the concierge, her eyes lit up. Thank you for your time. The concierge smiled knowingly. So you will have to convince me. They exited the hotel's lavish doors, stepping into the warm evening sun. A wave of fresh air filled Daniel's lungs, energizing him. We did it, Anna. I knew we could, she replied, her voice bubbling with excitement. As they walked down the vibrant streets, the city hummed with life around them. The sounds of laughter, street performers playing music, everyone wrapped in their own stories. Anna smiled, recalling their countless discussions, late nights under the stars filled with dreams and ambitions. Yeah, it feels like we're finally writing our story, Daniel said, the warmth of possibility igniting his spirit. I believe in us, Anna said, glancing at him, and he could feel their connection strengthening. Hand in hand, they stepped forward into the unknown, ready to face every challenge that lay ahead, their hearts filled with the power of their shared conviction. With each step, they began to weave their journey into the tapestry of the city, turning dreams into a reality that was only beginning to unfold. The heavy rain pounded against the pavement, creating a rhythmic symphony that contrasted sharply with the hustle and bustle of the city. Daniel stood beneath the awning of the plush hotel, his heart racing as he fought the urge to pace. He glanced at his watch, the seconds ticking away like drumming fingers. Anna had dropped the bombshell just moments before entering through the revolving doors. Just wait outside and I will handle everything. Her words hung in the air, a mix of confidence and fear swirling like the storm around them. This was no ordinary meeting. They had poured their hearts and souls into this venture, a business idea that felt more like a lifeline than a plan. And now in the pouring rain, he felt entirely exposed, wondering if he was truly ready for what lay ahead. He imagined Anna inside, connecting with powerful people, skillfully navigating conversations that felt light years away from his grasp. She was always the brave one, her confidence sparking like a flame. Even now he could see her silhouette in the lobby, her vibrant energy cutting through the dim lighting. But was he brave enough to follow her into that world? The door opened and laughter spilled out like a rush of wind. Couples strolled past, their hands intertwined, blissfully ignoring the storm. Daniel envied that carefreeness. It seemed like a distant memory as his nerves tied in knots. He glanced back at the entrance where Anna had disappeared. The concierge would greet him, but what if he didn't measure up? What if the dreams they nurtured together faded like the waterlogged city streets? Daniel took a deep breath, believing that trusting Anna was enough. At that moment, the concierge stepped into view, tall and imposing. His tailored suit suggested authority, like he commanded respect and attention. With a subtle nod, he glanced down at Daniel, assessing him quietly as if weighing the worth of what this young man could offer. The concierge inquired, his voice smooth like the fabric of his suit. Yes, Anna, Daniel replied, feeling heat rush to his cheeks as if he were being judged on a stage. Of course, she's preparing for your introduction to our guests, he stated, before turning his gaze back to the lobby, scanning for the figure of Anna. The seconds morphed into minutes, each tick of the clock resounding like a countdown to an impending doom. What if this didn't go as planned? What if the chance they fought for slipped through their fingers? Each thought felt like raindrops, heavy and relentless. Just then Anna emerged, smiling brightly. She looked like the sun breaking through the clouds. Behind her, a small group of individuals suited, polished, meaningful followed. Daniel, she called out, her voice ringing with excitement. He stepped forward, heart pounding, drawn into the warmth of her presence. The concierge stood back, allowing Anna to take the lead. Everyone, meet Daniel. He's the visionary behind our project, Anna announced, her confidence infectious. Daniel felt the eyes upon him, scrutinizing yet curious. The group murmured, intrigued. They were people who had the power to change everything for him, the artists, investors, and entrepreneurs he had only read about in magazines. "Hi everyone," Daniel managed, his voice cutting through the apprehension. The room crackled with energy as conversations swirled, and he found himself stepping into the role he had afresh. As Anna spoke with passionate fervor, Daniel glanced around and took in the details, the framed artworks, the sleek modern furniture, the air filled with promise. Lost in the ebb and flow, Daniel engaged with the various individuals, carefully choosing his words, willing himself to radiate confidence. Suddenly, the concierge appeared at his side, observing with an analytical eye. "This is a bold venture," the concierge stated, his voice low and steady. Daniel inhaled deeply, feeling the weight of expectations press against him. "The heart of it lies in community," he started, channeling Anna's energy. "We want to create a collaborative space where artists can thrive." The concierge studied him closely, the corners of his mouth twitching into a hint of a smile. A movement, absolutely, Daniel responded, feeling the embers of hope spark within him. "Art connects us on different levels. Our society craves meaning, especially now." Anna stepped in, her voice rising with enthusiasm. "This isn't just for established artists, it's also for newcomers craving an outlet." The room seemed to hang on to her every word, and Daniel could almost hear the wheels turning in their heads. As the conversations unfolded, Daniel felt the weight of the room shift from uncertainty to intrigue. He saw nods of recognition, glimmers of interest. He found himself getting swept up in the aspiration, rivaling the storm outside with fervent energy. Then an unexpected voice chimed in, a seasoned investor, an imposing figure with sharp features that suggested he had seen it all. "Let's get to the heart of it," he challenged, eyebrows raised. "What's your business model?" Daniel faltered for a moment, the question striking him like a thunderclap. This was the moment to deliver, yet his insecurities crept in, a chorus of doubts echoing through his mind. "We have a phased approach," Anna said quickly, stepping in graciously, filling the silence with confidence. "Details matter," the investor countered, sizing them up. "Can you expand on your revenue streams, grants, sponsorships?" Daniel felt the room tilt, the stakes now palpable and rising. He clutched the edge of the table, feeling the weight of scrutiny pressing in on him. "Absolutely," he said, feeling the fire reignite within him. "We're looking into multiple avenues, ticket sales, memberships, partnerships with local businesses." As their conversation flowed, Daniel drew courage from Anna's presence. It was as if they formed a united front, representing their dream with a single heartbeat pulsating in the room. Someone else called out from the group, their tone inquisitive. "Exactly," Daniel responded, meeting her gaze. The questions came like volleys of a game, but as each challenge arose, Daniel felt increasingly prepared. With Anna at his side, their passion illuminated the possibilities. Her encouragement seemed to flow seamlessly through him. "Once we create a hub for creativity, word will spread like wildfire," Daniel added, finding his rhythm. The energy in the room gradually shifted. Nods of approval began to spread, the initial skepticism giving way to genuine curiosity. This was turning into a real conversation, a dance of ideas and aspirations. As they continued to exchange visions, Daniel pointed out the value in nurturing grassroots activism, active participation from the community, something that could truly differentiate them. "I want us to foster a space where everyone feels welcome, like they can contribute," he concluded as he looked around the room, his heart pounding with hope. The concierge, who had been silently watching the exchanges, finally stepped in again. "Well, you both have quite the ambition," he said slowly, his words deliberate. "But ambition can often lead to disappointment if not paired with strategy." "Absolutely," Anna affirmed, ever steadfast. As the dialogue unfolded, there seemed to be a convergence of minds, reflecting a shared eagerness. The group, now engaged in animated discussions, began tossing ideas back and forth like a vibrant tapestry being woven right before them. But as the hours passed and the rain subsided outside, Daniel felt the evening creeping upon them. The lushness of the lobby transformed, the somber hues of evening settling in. The concierge glanced at his watch. "We can continue this conversation, but our time is running short for today." A wave of relief washed over Daniel. "Absolutely." Anna turned to Daniel, her eyes gleaming. This was the opportunity they had longed for, the chance to prove themselves. As they wrapped up the evening, Daniel felt lighter, hope blossoming inside him. Together they had created a spark of possibility. Their dreams had been forged into tangible ideas. Exiting the hotel, they stepped into the crisp evening air. The street lights flickered on, illuminating an altogether new landscape. The night had transformed the city, and for the first time in what felt like forever, Daniel felt the weight lifted from his shoulders. Anna turned to him, her face glowing in the soft light. "We did it, can you believe that?" Daniel couldn't contain his grin. "It feels surreal, like an awakening." They saw the potential. Anna, "This is just the beginning," she affirmed, a gleam of ambition in her eyes. He looked around. Before them lay a city alive with possibilities, humming with the pulse of life and energy. And more than that, he felt a sense of partnership and trust in Anna. We put in the hard work and now we roll up our sleeves and get to it, Daniel replied, fueled by renewed vigor. Days turned into weeks as they settled into a rhythm of perseverance. Late nights filled with strategic planning became the norm. They faced challenges and setbacks, pushing through self-doubt and external pressure. But in those moments of struggle, they built resilience. Each brainstorming session deepened their connection. They celebrated small victories. Every email from potential partners felt like a ray of hope breaking through the clouds. Finally, the day arrived when they were ready to unveil their plans. They called for a follow-up meeting at the hotel. Nervous energy buzzed in the air, and as they stood in the lobby once more, they could feel the magnitude of their effort looming around them. The concierge greeted them proudly. "You both have made strides in your proposal." With each word Daniel and Anna spoke, their passion shimmered in the room. They presented their vision, clearly detailing their strategy, their revenue forecasts, and their community engagement plan. Every slide in their presentation reflected countless hours of effort, bound together by hope and ambition. As the meeting progressed, they could feel the room engaged, energy palpable, sacred excitement filling the air. The skepticism that had once cast shadows felt like an echo of the past. Instead, this was a moment of possibility unfolding before them. When they concluded, the room hung in silence, the weight of anticipation heavy. The concierge leaned back, his expression thoughtful. "You both have evolved tremendously since our first meeting." A surge of emotions coursed through Daniel, a mixture of relief and confidence. It was happening, they were right on the brink. Finally, the concierge broke the silence. "Let's discuss how we can move forward." And with those words, a new door swung open. Every challenge they faced, every doubt cast aside, transformed into an opportunity for growth. Daniel grinned at Anna, knowing this was only the beginning. The storm they had navigated had become a source of strength, pushing them into the light of the community they longed to create. Together, they had forged a pathway into the heartbeat of their dreams, ready to embrace everything that lay ahead. The city belonged to them, and it sang a new song, a melody of untold stories waiting for them to unfold. The wind howled through the bustling city streets, swirling leaves and litter around Daniel's feet as he stood before the grand facade of the hotel. Rain drizzled, leaving a sheen on the pavement that glittered in the streetlights. Just moments ago, Anna had leaned in, her voice filled with urgency. "You have to wait here, okay?" Those words echoed in his mind as he resisted the urge to step inside, the tension curling in his stomach. What was happening inside that elegant building? Did Anna feel the same gnawing anticipation he did? Did she sense the stakes climbing higher with every click of the clock? He glanced at his watch. 2 minutes had passed since she vanished through the grand entrance, leaving him to wrestle with the storm of his thoughts. This meeting held the weight of their dreams, their ambition, and an intertwined future. What if it didn't go well? What if the door they fantasized about remained firmly shut, never to open? Moments dragged by, each tick felt like a personal trial. The hotel lobby was a hive of activity, a blur of rushing guests, and the soft sounds of laughter mingling with clinking glasses. Nothing felt real, though, to Daniel. There was only his heartbeat, pounding like a drum. As he stood under the awning, watching umbrellas dance against the downpour, he spotted the gleaming figure of the concierge. Tall and impeccably dressed, he carried himself with a kind of authority that struck an unsettling chord in Daniel's gut. He recognized that confidence from countless business meetings and networking events. It was the aura of someone who lived in a world he had barely glimpsed. The concierge moved past him, straightening his tie as he stepped toward the entrance, scanning the throng of guests. For a moment, his eyes met Daniel's, and a flicker of curiosity passed over his expression. He looked like someone who had mastered the art of diplomacy, someone you didn't want to disappoint. Just as the concierge disappeared inside, Daniel's jaw clenched. It was now or never. He had to trust that Anna truly believed in their vision, that this meeting could be the turning point they needed to bring their dreams to life. But then the door swung open, and Anna emerged with a flourish, her eyes sparkling and wild. A flash of excitement rippled through him. There she was, the embodiment of everything they longed for, the anchor to his wavering confidence. She called, her voice cutting through the chaos. His heart raced as he crossed the threshold, stepping into a different realm where elegance wrapped around him like a warm embrace. The lobby was breathtaking, polished marble floors, intricate chandeliers casting a golden glow, and the scent of fresh flowers adding a touch of life to the opulence. "And this is the moment," Anna whispered, pulling him gently by the arm. He nodded, yet the nerves fluttered like butterflies in his stomach. She led him to the reception area where the concierge stood, welcoming guests with a practiced ease. He turned to Anna and then to Daniel, a smile breaking across his face that mingled authority with warmth. "Welcome," the concierge said, his voice smooth as silk. "Yes, thanks to Anna, she got me here," Daniel replied, trying to match the concierge's calm demeanor. The concierge took a moment, appraising both of them before his eyes lit up with intrigue. "So, you're the one I've heard about." Daniel's heart thumped louder. Had they already been discussed? That was both thrilling and terrifying. "Yes, we're excited to share our project with you," Anna said, her enthusiasm radiant. "Go to my office," the concierge replied, motioning for them to follow. He led them through the busy lobby to a quieter hallway filled with rich paintings and elegant decor. Each step heightened the anticipation. As they entered the office, Daniel felt an overwhelming mix of emotions: excitement, apprehension, and a fierce desire to impress. The room was impeccably arranged, with a large wooden desk occupying the center, framed by shelves filled with books and art pieces that reflected a well-curated taste. "Take a seat," the concierge said, gesturing towards plush chairs opposite him. Daniel sank into the softness, feeling both comforted and completely exposed. "So tell me about this ambitious project of yours," the concierge said, leaning back, his fingers interlaced thoughtfully. Anna took a deep breath, her eyes sparking with passion as she began the pitch. "We want to create a community art space that fosters creativity and welcomes everyone, from seasoned artists to newcomers." Daniel watched her, amazed at the way she spoke with burning conviction. It reminded him of their late-night conversations when dreams poured out of them like the rain outside, vast and untamed. The concierge interjected, his voice steady. Daniel felt the weight of the question settle heavily in the room. What if they couldn't answer? But instead of faltering, the fire in him grew stronger. "We have plans for memberships, ticket sales for workshops, and partnerships with local businesses to create revenue streams," he said, trying to match Anna's energy. The concierge regarded him with keen interest. "Good, but can you ensure that you'll engage with the community?" "Yes, we've designed outreach programs to involve schools and local organizations," Anna responded enthusiastically. Daniel nodded vigorously, feeling more alive with every passing moment. "We have a social media strategy to connect with our audience too." The conversation picked up speed, ideas bouncing like sparks in the air. The concierge began to lean in, genuinely intrigued. Daniel could sense it, a shift in the atmosphere, but then a sudden shadow crossed the concierge's face. The question felt like a punch to the gut. Daniel glanced at Anna, who held his gaze fiercely, as if weaving their thoughts into a tapestry of hope. The challenge ignited something within him. "We're different because we're rooted in authenticity," Anna stated. "We're here to share stories, not just the polished versions, but the raw, real narratives that unite us." Daniel added, "Every event won't just showcase talent, it'll foster conversations." The concierge studied their faces, the corners of his mouth curling slightly as if he was savoring a particularly interesting piece of art. "All right," with a newfound determination, Daniel leaned forward. "We plan to host a launch event that showcases local talent while giving attendees a taste of what we can offer moving forward. It'll be immersive, interactive, art, music, dance." The concierge's interest deepened, and Daniel felt the energy shift in the room like they were standing on the precipice of something monumental. "And what about the funding?" The stakes felt impossibly high, but Daniel met the concierge's gaze without flinching, drawing strength from Anna. "We're pursuing grants specific to arts initiatives and sponsorships from local businesses." There it was, that heady mix of ambition and authenticity. The concierge pressed, his voice low. The question hung in the air, heavy and electric, igniting a flicker of uncertainty. Daniel swallowed hard, the fear creeping in. "We adapt," Anna said, her voice steady and confident. "We learn from setbacks, we grow." Those words struck Daniel like lightning. The vision was clear. This wasn't just about them anymore. It was about community, resilience, and making a difference. As the conversation reached a crescendo, Daniel felt alive, invigorated by the possibility of creating something truly meaningful. The concierge's demeanor had shifted entirely now. He was engaged, leaning forward, tapping into the raw energy that filled the room. After what felt like hours, the concierge sat back, his expression thoughtful. "I admit, your passion is infectious." A blend of relief and exhilaration surged through Daniel. They had poured their souls into this journey, and their hard work was finally coming to fruition. "Let's take the next step," the concierge announced, his voice carrying a weight of authority. "I'd like to see a more detailed proposal." Daniel's heart soared. As they stood to leave, Anna turned to the concierge, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you for this opportunity." The concierge regarded them with respect. "I look forward to what you create." As they exited the hotel, the evening air felt electric, charged with excitement and the promise of what lay ahead. The rain had subsided and the city sparkled under the streetlights, vibrant and alive. Anna burst out, laughter spilling from her lips as they strolled into the night. "Yes," Daniel exclaimed, barely able to contain his elation. They continued walking, their spirits soaring. The city felt transformed, a blank canvas waiting for them to leave their mark. Anna said, her eyes gleaming in the bright lights. Daniel felt a swell of pride. "We need to get started right away." He glanced at her, and in that instant he realized they were meant to do this together. Days turned into weeks, and soon they were consumed by their mission, pouring their passion into every detail. The excitement was palpable as they crafted a proposal, adding layers of texture to their dreams. Yet there were challenges, moments when doubt clouded their minds, when deadlines felt impossible, and the weight of expectations loomed heavy. In these moments, Daniel and Anna leaned on each other, navigating the storm together. They filled each day with possibilities, igniting their plans with creativity and energy. Then came the day they were finally ready to present their proposal to the partners they had hoped for. As they walked into the hotel once more, nerves fluttered, but this time they stood grounded, ready to face what lay ahead. The concierge greeted them with a knowing smile, a silent acknowledgement of their journey. He asked, and this time they both nodded as their hearts thudded in unison. They presented with clarity and passion, weaving their vision into a compelling narrative. The energy in the room thrummed as they spoke, everyone drawn into the vibrant tapestry they created, a shared dream igniting in real time. As they concluded, silence settled in, charged with anticipation. The concierge leaned forward, his gaze intense. "This is compelling. You both clearly put in the work." The room erupted into applause, and for the first time, Daniel felt the weight of hope lift off his shoulders. It was happening. The dream they had breathed into life was unfolding, and they were standing at the threshold, ready to embrace whatever came next. Together, Daniel whispered, meeting Anna's gaze, a promise lingering in the air. "Always," she replied softly, a smile brightening her face as they prepared to leave the past behind and step into a future ripe with possibility. The city thrummed around them, a world alive with potential. They were no longer merely dreamers but creators, ready to carve new paths in the fabric of their community, one step at a time. And as they walked side by side into the vibrant pulse of the city, they knew this was just the beginning of an adventure that would forever intertwine their lives and their dreams. The heavy rain poured down, hammering against the sidewalk like an impatient drummer. Daniel stood hunched under the awning of the luxurious hotel, just outside the entrance, watching glistening droplets race each other down the glass. His heart raced as Anna turned to him with a gleam in her eye. "Wait here, okay?" With those words hanging in the air, Anna stepped quickly through the revolving doors, leaving Daniel alone in the cold wash of uncertainty. He shivered slightly, though it wasn't just the chill in the air, it was the weight of the moment pressing down on him. This meeting could change everything for both of them, a chance to finally take their dreams from whispered late-night talks to the reality they craved. In the distance, the sound of laughter and clinking glasses spilled out from the lobby. Bright lights shone around him, casting a warm glow that felt worlds away from the storm outside. He glanced at his watch. Just a couple of minutes had passed since Anna entered, yet it felt like an eternity. Daniel's mind raced with the possibilities, but with that excitement came a gnawing fear. He had always been a backseat driver in life, letting Anna steer through their shared dreams, while he often felt like the one fumbling in the dark. What if he didn't measure up? What if this was the moment everything fell apart? He shook his head, willing himself to focus. Anna believed in their vision, a community art hub that bridged connections and fostered creativity. But could he stand confidently beside her today? Just then, the hotel door swung open again. The concierge emerged, a striking figure in a tailored suit that accentuated his imposing stature. He scanned the area as if searching for someone lost in the crowd. Daniel felt a wave of nervous energy ripple through him as their eyes met. The concierge asked, his voice smooth and confident. "Yes," Daniel replied, trying to keep his tone steady. The concierge nodded, glancing back at the entrance. She should be out shortly. Daniel's heart pounded in his chest. He swallowed hard, forcing himself to breathe deeply. He was determined to make this work, to show that their dream deserved to be recognized. It felt like hours had passed as he stood there, the rain continuing to fall. He watched as a couple strolled by, laughing and carefree, exuding the kind of confidence he yearned to possess. With every passing moment, he felt the storm of anxiety swirl inside him, matching the weather outside. Finally, the door to the hotel swung open once more, and Anna emerged, the light from inside casting her in an ethereal glow. She smiled brightly, and for a moment the world around Daniel faded away. She called out, beckoning him in. His heart surged as he stepped forward, pushed by the warmth of her presence. Anna pulled him into the lobby, where the chaos of the storm outside felt like a distant memory. The luxurious setting wrapped around him like a comforting blanket. She asked playfully. "No, not at all," he chuckled, feeling the tension begin to dissolve. The concierge stood nearby, waiting patiently. "I'm glad you could join us," he said, his tone perfectly neutral but layered with unspoken significance. Daniel swallowed again, reminding himself to keep his composure. He felt Anna's fingers brush against his hand, a silent reminder that they were in this together. "Thank you for meeting us," Anna said, stepping forward. "Let's sit down," the concierge suggested, motioning toward an elegantly arranged seating area nearby. They followed him as he led them to a plush sofa that offered an inviting comfort. "Tell me about this project of yours," the concierge said, looking at Daniel directly. Daniel felt the pressure of those words, and for just a moment the world seemed to spin. He could feel his heart racing, but he reminded himself that they had worked hard for this opportunity. This was their chance to make their dreams a reality. Thanks," he started, his voice slightly trembling. "We're creating a community art space aimed at connecting people through creativity." "Interesting," the concierge replied, tilting his head slightly as he studied Daniel. "What makes you think this space will resonate with the community?" Daniel exchanged a glance with Anna, who nodded encouragingly. We believe that art has the ability to bring people together in a unique way. Our approach goes beyond traditional gallery setups, he explained, feeling the words rush out. We want to incorporate workshops, interactive experiences, and real collaboration with local artists and organizations. The concierge leaned back, considering his words. There was a flicker of intrigue in his eyes as he absorbed the information. Can you provide more details on how you plan to engage the community? The success of such a space hinges on that, he pressed. We have plans for outreach programs that invite schools, community centers, and local businesses to participate, Anna declared, her voice steady and passionate. Daniel could see the spark in Anna's eyes as she spoke, the passion pouring out of her. It fueled his own resolve. The concierge raised an eyebrow. And how will you fund these initiatives, grants, sponsorships? As the questions piled up, Daniel felt a rush of nerves return. As we've been researching local grants aimed at supporting arts initiatives and developing partnerships with local businesses who see the value in community engagement, he replied, willing his voice to remain calm. The concierge pressed. That single question sent a shiver down Daniel's spine. What if they didn't have a backup? What if everything crumbled? But just as doubt threatened to consume him, Anna stepped in, clear and unwavering. We understand the risks. That steadiness grounded Daniel. Flexibility and resilience are at the core of our approach, he added, his confidence slowly returning. The concierge nodded slowly, clearly processing their answers. The dynamic between the three of them shifted, crackling with energy as their conversation deepened. He asked, leaning forward a bit more. Everyone, Anna answered without hesitation. Daniel felt a rush of adrenaline as he saw the concierge's interest peaking. We want to create a place where all voices can be heard, no matter their level of experience, he explained further. The concierge considered them thoughtfully, his brow furrowing slightly as if he was weighing every word. You have a compelling vision, he finally said, his tone warm but serious. But that vision will require concrete plans. Daniel's heart raced with determination. That's a solid idea, the concierge replied, but it requires commitment. Absolutely, Anna affirmed, her tone steady. This is our passion. A moment of silence settled in, thick with anticipation. Daniel could feel their hope weaving into the fabric of the conversation, almost tangible. At last, the concierge broke the stillness. All right, I'm intrigued. You both bring enthusiasm and ambition to the table, but remember, that won't be enough. Daniel felt a wave of relief wash over him. There was a flicker of hope. We're ready for the hard work, truly, he said, feeling empowered. Then let's take the next steps. I'd like to see a more detailed proposal by next week. If everything aligns, we can explore a partnership, the concierge said, motioning toward Daniel. Daniel exclaimed, unable to keep the excitement from his voice. They stood, eager energy bubbling between them, and Anna smiled brightly, looking more alive than ever. We won't let you down, Daniel promised, feeling as though the weight of possibility had enveloped them both, offering warmth against the cold reality. As they left the hotel, the storm had cleared, revealing a star-speckled sky. The city felt transformed, a vibrant tapestry of opportunities laid out before them. Anna sang, her laughter bright and infectious. Daniel couldn't contain his grin as they walked side by side, a newfound connection solidifying between them. The initial fear had merged with excitement, igniting something deeper, not just a shared vision, but a promise to support each other through every step of the journey. We've turned a corner, he said, glancing toward Anna, feeling a surge of gratitude. Yes, she replied, her gaze shining with ambition. Days turned into weeks, and the dance of preparation engulfed them both, filled with late-night brainstorming sessions over endless cups of coffee and spirited discussions. Each step took them closer to their vision, honing their plans and shaping their mission into something tangible. Amid the whirlwind, there were days of panic, nights of doubt, and moments when setbacks threatened to unravel the fabric of their dream. But through it all, Daniel and Anna cheered each other on, holding tight to the belief that their vision mattered. Then came the day they were ready to present their detailed proposal to potential partners. The nerves thumped in his chest as they walked into the hotel once more, this time feeling stronger, more prepared. The concierge greeted them, a knowing glint in his eye. They nodded, ready to take the plunge once again. This time they felt the confidence that had grown over the weeks, the passion coursing through them like a wild river. As they presented their proposal, details unfolded with clarity charts, timelines, and visual sketches, weaving their dream into something beautiful and compelling. The room filled with anticipation, savvy investors leaning in, and Daniel could feel the energy shifting. And finally, as they sat back, awaiting feedback, the concierge rested his hands on the table, a satisfied smile on his face. You both exceeded my expectations. Daniel couldn't suppress the flood of relief washing over him. Thank you so much. As the meeting wound down, the air buzzed with potential. It was a pivotal moment, one they'd both dreamed of for so long. With a firm handshake, the concierge stated, "Let's discuss the next steps." The city pulsated around them as Daniel and Anna stepped back into the world, transformed. This was just the beginning of a journey that promised to be new, exciting, and filled with the heartbeats of their shared ambition. Each step forward felt like an awakening, filled with dreams waiting to be realized. They knew the road ahead would not be easy, but they were ready to embrace it all together. And as they continued down the streets of the city, side by side, their laughter mingling with the echoes of their hopes, they understood one thing: they were no longer just dreamers, they were creators, ready to mold their future into something spectacular. The rain pounded against the pavement, creating a melodious rhythm that filled the air with tension. Daniel stood under the awning of the Grand Hotel, tapping his foot anxiously. Now, those words echoed in his mind, layered with uncertainty. He watched her slip into the luxurious lobby, her figure disappearing among the polished marble and elegant decor. With each passing second, the vibrant sounds of laughter and chatter seeped out, drawing him into a world that felt both alluring and intimidating. He glanced around, taking in the bustling scene. Guests mingled, their conversations blending into a soft hum, but Daniel felt utterly isolated. He felt the slight chill of the rain on his skin, but it was the weight of expectation that truly enveloped him. Was he really ready for what lay ahead? He dug into his pocket, fiddling with the crumpled paper that held his notes. This meeting held the potential to change the course of their lives. Anna had poured her heart into this project, a community art space, and now it was time for him to step out of the shadows and shine alongside her. As the rain danced around him, Daniel's mind began to swirl with thoughts. What if the concierge dismissed them? What if their dream crumbled before it even began? What if the lush vision they clung to was just that, a vision lost in the fog of reality? Just then the hotel door swung open and out stepped the concierge, tall and impeccably dressed, exuding confidence like an impenetrable fortress. He scanned the area, his discerning gaze falling upon Daniel. There was an aura of authority around him that made Daniel's heart race. The concierge asked, his voice smooth and commanding. Yes, Daniel managed to reply, forcing a steadiness into his tone. The concierge nodded, a flicker of acknowledgement in his eyes. She'll be with you shortly. The seconds felt like minutes as Daniel stood alone, uncertainty washing over him again. He attempted to calm his breathing, recalling Anna's earlier words of encouragement, her unwavering belief in their vision. The project meant everything to her. It was a lifeline, a way to connect with the community they loved. He leaned against the cool brick wall, watching the hustle and bustle of the city outside. Cars whizzed by, umbrellas popped open, and life continued unaware of the internal battle waging within him. Should he step inside? Could he muster enough courage to follow Anna's lead? Just when he thought he might turn and run, Anna appeared again, her eyes sparking with excitement. She glided toward him, her smile radiant against the dreary backdrop. Daniel, he felt a surge of energy as he stepped inside the luxurious lobby, momentarily enveloped in warmth as the cold air of uncertainty melted away. He asked, attempting to gauge her enthusiasm, just a quick chat. He's ready to meet you, she replied, her voice laced with confidence. As they walked further into the lobby, Daniel surveyed the elegant surroundings, the golden chandeliers, the plush seating, the art adorning the walls. It felt like stepping into another world, one where dreams had room to flourish. Wait, before we meet him, Anna said, turning to him, her expression suddenly serious. Remember, this is our opportunity. Just be yourself. With a deep breath, he nodded. Right. They approached the concierge, who had been watching them with an amused expression. Welcome back, he said, his voice warm yet authoritative. Absolutely, Anna said, stepping forward as if taking the lead in a dance. This is Daniel. As Daniel extended his hand, he could feel the weight of the moment settling on his shoulders. Nice to meet you, he said, trying to project confidence even as his heart raced. The concierge shook his hand, his grip firm. Nice to meet you, Daniel. I'm curious to hear what you've got. Daniel felt the heat rise in his cheeks. Okay, so he paused, scanning the room for words. We are aiming to create a community art space that engages people from all walks of life. The concierge raised an eyebrow, leaning back slightly intrigued. Daniel continued, feeling the adrenaline kick in. We want it to be a hub where artists can showcase their work and where locals can come together to participate in workshops, events, and discussions. Anna chimed in, her eyes sparkling. We believe art has the power to unite people. We want to create a safe space for artists and community members to express themselves freely. Daniel could sense the enthusiasm building, but he also felt the weight of expectation from the concierge. That's an ambitious vision, he said, nodding thoughtfully. The question hung in the air, and Daniel felt a flicker of doubt. What if they couldn't explain it clearly enough? What if the dream began to unravel before them? We want to incorporate local cultural elements, Anna answered confidently. By partnering with schools, community groups, and local artists, we aim to design a space that reflects the community's identity. Daniel felt a spark of pride as he watched her articulate their mission. Together, they balanced and lifted each other up. The concierge asked, a hint of skepticism lingering in his tone. We've thought a lot about outreach, Daniel said carefully. We want to utilize social media to engage with our audience and build excitement. Social media is effective, but you'll need to ensure sustained interest. The concierge pressed. Daniel felt the challenge, but he couldn't back down. We see this as an ongoing dialogue. Engagement doesn't stop after an event. The concierge studied them intensely, a thoughtful expression etched on his face. You're both very passionate, but passion doesn't always translate to success. Anna looked at Daniel and he knew they needed to address this head-on. We've both been involved in community service and arts projects in the past, he said. While we may not have run a space like this before, we've learned from those experiences. The concierge queried further. Absolutely, Anna interjected briskly. We're looking into grants specifically for arts initiatives, as well as partnerships with local businesses to secure funding. Daniel felt the energy shift in the room. This wasn't just about them anymore, it was about a vision that could resonate within the community. The concierge nodded slowly, the skepticism melting away. All right, he said. The question felt like a punch to the gut. Could they truly handle rejection? He glanced nervously at Anna, but she radiated confidence. Adaptability is key, she stated firmly. The conversation continued, growing more animated as the concierge began to warm up to their ideas. Daniel could feel the atmosphere charged with energy. As they shared their vision, the concierge gradually transformed from an observer into an engaged participant. He leaned forward, eager for details and insights. If you want to attract a diverse crowd, you need to think strategically about your programming, he asked, genuinely interested. Daniel felt a rush of adrenaline. It was happening. They were igniting a fire in the room. We want to hold a grand opening that showcases local talent, he proposed. The concierge nodded slowly, beginning to see their potential. What you're describing can create a significant buzz. And that's where we come in, Anna said, her voice unwavering. The conversation deepened, a tapestry of ideas woven together with threads of ambition and hope. The concierge appeared impressed, his demeanor shifting more toward encouragement. Finally, after what felt like hours, he leaned back in his chair. You both have given me a lot to think about. Daniel felt the weight of those words settle in. We're ready, he said, his heart racing. The concierge smiled slightly, a hint of warmth breaking through his businesslike exterior. All right, please send me a detailed proposal. As they stood up to leave, Anna's face lit up with joy. Thank you so much. The concierge's eyes sparkled with intrigue. In that instant, as they stepped back into the bustling world outside, a wave of relief crashed over Daniel. The fears that had gripped him just minutes ago melted away, replaced with bubbling excitement. They had made a connection, igniting a potential partnership built on shared dreams. Did you see that? Anna exclaimed, her laughter brightening the gray clouds swirling above. Daniel replied, his spirit lifting as they strolled down the street together, rain now only a memory. They were no longer just dreamers, they were creators, ready to take on whatever challenges lay ahead. With each step, the future seemed to blossom before them, a kaleidoscope of possibilities, like colors merging in a breathtaking mural. The city thrummed with life around them as they walked side by side, their hearts filled with purpose. Together, they would embark on a journey of growth and discovery, weaving their hopes into the very fabric of the community they cherished. As the sun peeked through the clouds, the world felt newly alive, awaiting the brushstrokes of their dreams. In that exhilarating moment, standing on the cusp of their dream, Daniel and Anna knew they were ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. The future was calling, and together they would answer. The rain fell in heavy sheets, drenching the streets and creating a rhythm that echoed like a heartbeat. Daniel stood just outside the grand entrance of the Kensington Hotel, his hands shoved deep into his pockets, feeling the weight of the moment pressing down on him. Those words rang in his ears, a mix of a command and an assurance. He watched her slip through the ornate double doors, swallowing hard as he fought to quell the nervous energy bubbling up inside him. The hotel felt like a different world, a world of elegance and privilege where dreams had the potential to materialize. But outside in the storm, he felt like just another nobody. He glanced around, taking in the hustle of the city around him. People rushed by, umbrellas bobbing in the wind, faces set with determination. The contrast between their lives and his own felt stark. What could he possibly have to offer in a setting like this? The weight of self-doubt crushed him. As Daniel stared at the glossy entrance, he fought against the whirlwind of thoughts spiraling in his mind. This meeting was crucial, the culmination of late-night brainstorming sessions and passionate discussions about their vision for the future. If only he could find a way to embody the same confidence Anna radiated, maybe he could shake off this feeling of insignificance. Minutes rolled by, each second stretching like a taut rubber band as he chewed on his lower lip. He could feel the storm inside him brewing just as fiercely as the storm outside. What if the concierge dismissed them? What if their dream caught the first wave of denial? What if they failed? Just then the door swung open and out stepped the concierge, a tall, polished figure dressed impeccably, an air of authority emanating from him as if he commanded the very fabric of the place. His eyes scanned the area with a sharpness that made Daniel's pulse quicken. It was as if he could see through the storm of uncertainty that surrounded him. The concierge asked, his voice smooth and refined, carrying the weight of confidence that made Daniel feel both intimidated and hopeful. "Yes, I'm waiting for Anna," Daniel replied, trying to keep his voice steady but feeling the tremor of nerves. "Very well." The concierge nodded slightly and stepped back inside, leaving Daniel wildly aware of his own fraying patience. Each tick of the ornate clock on the wall echoed louder than the last, amplifying his unease. Moments later, Anna emerged from the lobby, her expression a blend of excitement and urgency. Her hair was slightly damp from the rain, and the vibrant energy around her made Daniel's heart lift. There she was, the embodiment of their dreams, a force of nature that seemed wholly unafraid. She called, her voice carrying a spark that ignited his own determination. As he stepped into the soft warmth of the lobby, he felt almost transported. The plush carpet absorbed his footsteps, and the rich aroma of coffee and pastries wafted through the air, mingling with the excitement that pulsed between them. Daniel asked, trying to catch a glimpse of what lay behind Anna's bright smile. More like he listened, she said, her eyes sparkling. The concierge stood nearby, watching them with a shrewd expression. Welcome back, he greeted, his tone businesslike yet not unkind. Thanks for meeting with us, Anna said, her voice unwavering as she took the lead. As Daniel stepped forward, he felt a rush of adrenaline. This was it, their moment. Please tell me about this project you've got, the concierge said, crossing his arms, expectant. Daniel swallowed hard but stood tall. We want to create a community-focused art space, he began, feeling the words flow. Somewhere people can not only see art but live it. The concierge nodded, and Daniel could see sparks of interest flicker in his eyes like the glimmers of light above. But what makes your space different? The question sliced through the atmosphere like a knife. Daniel hesitated, the weight of that challenge hitting him square in the chest, but Anna leaned in next to him, exuding the kind of confidence he wished he could absorb. We want to weave the community into the fabric of this space. It's not just about the art, it's about the stories behind it. Daniel felt a surge of energy. Exactly. We envision workshops, interactive installations, and events that let everyone, no matter their background, participate in something meaningful, he added, his heart racing. The concierge's brow furrowed, intrigued but skeptical. It's a noble idea, but can you realistically attract enough people? Each word felt like a weight on Daniel's shoulders, pressing down as he attempted to maintain his composure. We plan to kick off with events that resonate, like open mic nights, community art days, and exhibitions. Social media buzz will only carry you so far, the concierge replied, his tone measured. Sustainability is key. Grants and sponsorships are just one avenue we're exploring, Anna said. Daniel could feel the conversation shifting, moving like a tide as the energy in the room began to pulse with possibility. The concierge pressed, his gaze piercing. Absolutely, Anna replied defiantly. We're aware that setbacks will happen. It's how we respond that matters. Daniel watched as the concierge contemplated their words, the cogs turning in his mind. Perhaps they were making headway. Maybe, just maybe, they could persuade this man who held their dreams in his hands. He finally asked, his tone softening slightly. Daniel glanced at Anna, who seemed to glow with an inner light. Art is a reflection of life. We want to create an environment where people feel safe sharing their stories. There are lots of places for that, the concierge countered. Connection, Anna said, her voice unwavering. We all tell stories that need to be seen and heard. By anchoring this space to local culture, we want to build a legacy. The concierge leaned forward, absorbing Anna's words, and Daniel sensed that this might be the turning point. He asked, We'd like to launch within the next year, Daniel replied, his heart pounding. After a contemplative pause, the concierge spoke again, this time with a spark of encouragement in his voice. You have ambition and I appreciate your energy, but I need a more solid plan to move forward. Daniel felt a rush of warmth flood his chest. They had made progress. He replied, barely able to contain the excitement bubbling inside him. As they rose to leave, Anna turned to the concierge, gratitude written all over her face. Thank you for your time. Let's see if you can back it up, he said, the flicker of a smile on his lips, an ever-present challenge hanging in the air. As they stepped out into the dimming light of the evening, the rain had lightened to a gentle drizzle. The vibrant city around them seemed to come alive, the air thick with potential. Daniel exclaimed, a wave of disbelief washing over him. It did, Anna replied, her eyes sparkling, excitement radiating around them. Yet even as they walked away, a lingering doubt resided in the back of Daniel's mind. What if they couldn't put together a proposal that met the concierge's expectations? What if the challenge was too great, but Anna took his hand and squeezed it, grounding him. We've got this, she assured him, drawing him back to the present. The two walked down the street deeper into the night, their minds buzzing with possibilities, the ideas pouring out like water from a broken dam. But as they rounded the corner, Daniel suddenly paused, his heart racing. Anna, he said, the urgency thick in his voice. What if we run into obstacles we didn't anticipate? Anna pressed, peering into his eyes. Like we'll get sidetracked, he confessed, anxiety creeping into his words. But before Anna could respond, a loud crash echoed from around the corner. A figure stumbled into the street, clutching a bag tight to their chest, panic etched into their features. Help. The stranger shouted, voice breaking, eyes wide with fear. Daniel felt adrenaline spike as he and Anna rushed towards the commotion, instinctively joining the crowd that was gathering. What had just happened? The gravity of the situation felt weighty, a reminder that the world was unpredictable, much like their own dreams. As they approached, the stranger began to break down, gasping for breath. they're after me." No sooner had he spoken than the echo of approaching footsteps resounded fiercely through the dark street, bringing a wave of tension that stretched taut like a bowstring. Daniel's heart raced. In that moment, their dreams felt both a heartbeat away and a world apart. Their journey was filled with promise, but now, the chaos around them could alter everything. As they stood at the intersection of fear and hope, the question loomed: how would they navigate this together?